Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual on Firstpost, where we get you the top 50 stories from around the world. I'm Alison Lagrange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin. In our top stories, Israel has launched a fresh round of strikes across central Beirut, Lebanon's capital. The strikes hit a Hezbollah rescue facility, killing at least 6 people and wounding 7 others. The attack took place near the Lebanese parliament building. The strike was conducted after 8 Israeli troops were killed near the Lebanese border on Wednesday. The son-in-law of the former Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah has reportedly been killed in an Israeli raid. Reports say that Hassan Jaafar al-Qasir was killed in an Israeli raid yesterday in Syria's capital Damascus. Qasir was reportedly one of the 2 Lebanese people killed in the raid. Israel had targeted a residential building in the Mezzah district of Damascus. Now, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has warned Israel against carrying out a retaliatory attack on his country. He said that any Israeli action will lead to a stronger response from Iran. He added that Tehran was not looking for a war and called for regional peace. The remarks were made yesterday at a joint press conference in Qatar with the country's emir, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. Now, Iran had launched about 200 missiles toward Israel on Tuesday in response to the killing of Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah. Meanwhile, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has made his first public appearance since the country launched its missile attacks on Israel. He is also scheduled to lead Iran's Friday prayers this week for the first time in nearly 5 years. According to reports, Khamenei was taken to a secure location after the killing of the Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah. Meanwhile, Iran is bracing for Israeli attacks on its nuclear sites. Israel is reportedly planning to target Iran's nuclear enrichment plants. However, U.S. President Joe Biden has opposed Israel's plan. He said that Israel has the right to respond, but it must be done proportionally. Biden added that more sanctions would be imposed on Iran soon. He discussed the sanctions with G7 leaders when the group held a virtual meeting yesterday. And Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, Danny Danon, issued a stern warning to Iran at a UN Security Council meeting. He said that the time for empty calls for de-escalation is over. Danon said that Iran's true face of terror, death, and chaos. Meanwhile, the Israeli Defense Forces struck schools in the Gaza Strip yesterday. Reports say that at least 20 people were killed and dozens were injured in the school bombings. Israel said that it carried out strikes on Hamas command centers. It accused Hamas of using the schools as bases to carry out terror attacks. Israel has barred the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres from entering the country. Their Foreign Minister, Israel Katz, has said that Guterres did not unequivocally condemn Iran's missile attack on Israel. Katz said that Guterres was persona non grata in Israel after his failure to condemn Iran. The UN has labeled Israel's move an attack on the international body. The Yemen-based Houthi rebel group claims to have targeted Israel's Tel Aviv with drones. According to the Iran-backed Houthis, their drones successfully reached their intended targets. However, Israeli authorities have not confirmed the attack. And Vietnam has condemned the Chinese violence against 10 of its fishermen in the disputed regions of the South China Sea. Chinese forces allegedly attacked Vietnamese fishermen with iron bars, stole their fish and equipment worth thousands of dollars, and the assault left 4 of the Vietnamese crew members hospitalized. The attack took place near the disputed Paracel Islands. And Singapore's former transport minister has been sentenced to 12 months in jail. Former Minister Iswaran has been convicted on graft and obstruction of justice charges. He accepted illegal gifts worth $300,000. Iswaran is currently out on bail, but he will begin his jail term on the 7th of October. This marks the first time a former minister has been jailed in Singapore. And Bangladesh's interim government has recalled 5 of its envoys. The Foreign Ministry has ordered envoys in Brussels, Canberra, Lisbon, New Delhi, and the Permanent Mission to the United Nations in New York to return immediately. According to a report, the recall decision could be related to dissatisfaction within the Foreign Service. And 6 people died after Mexican soldiers shot at a group of 33 migrants traveling in a truck yesterday. 10 others sustained injuries. The incident took place near Mexico's southern border and comes amid mounting pressure from the U.S. to contain migration. The Mexican Defense Ministry has removed 2 of the soldiers who fired at the migrants from their posts. Students and protesters clashed with police on Wednesday in Mexico City. The clashes broke out amid a protest to mark 56 years since the 1968 Letalco Square massacre. Now, the protesters wearing black masks hurled objects at the cops and the Mexico City mayor's office. Demonstrators accused the state of complicity in the massacre and criticized the lack of justice served. In 1968, security forces attacked a student protest in downtown Mexico City. At least 30 people lost their lives in the massacre. At least 16 people have died and several are missing after a boat carrying about 300 people capsized in north-central Nigeria. The passengers, which included mostly women and children, were on their way to celebrate the Muslim festival Mawlid. Now, the boat was sailing on the river Niger from Makwa village when the tragic incident took place. And on to climate news. Typhoon Krathon has made landfall in Taiwan's port city of Kaohsiung. Now, the typhoon brought heavy rainfall and winds moving at speeds of 125 kilometers per hour. Krathon has also forced Taiwan to stay shut for a 3rd consecutive day. Taiwanese authorities have kept educational institutions shut and all domestic flights have been grounded. And days after Hurricane Helene battered the southeastern U.S., a massive debris has covered the surface of Lake Lure outside Asheville City in North Carolina. The lake surface is covered with trash comprising of overturned boats, splintered wooden docks, and tree trunks, among other things. Meanwhile, the death toll from the hurricane has reached 180. Millions of Americans are still without electricity, water, and phone services. And the ongoing drought in Brazil's Amazon region has cut off transport routes. Locals are forced to walk for hours across dry riverbeds to fetch food and water. The region is witnessing the worst drought on record. Brazilian authorities have declared an emergency in 62 municipalities in the state of the Amazonas. And the southern African nation of Zambia is witnessing one of its worst droughts in decades. The drought is as a result of the El Niño weather phenomenon. It has led to a power crisis in the country. Zambia relies on water reservoirs for 84% of its electricity. Only 13% of its power is generated using coal. In Greece, nearly 600 firefighters are combating a raging wildfire in the Peloponnese region for the 4th consecutive day. The blaze has killed 2 people and has torched swathes of forest. The Greek authorities have deployed 160 fire engines and 24 aircraft to douse the wildfire. The forest fire has also triggered evacuations in a dozen villages. And on to business and tech news. The Indian stock market dropped by over 1.5% today. The Sensex and Nifty indices were dragged down by concerns over a wider war in West Asia. Sensex dropped below the 83,000 mark, while the Nifty was trading at around 25,400. Iran's recent missile attack on Israel has caused jitters in the markets around the globe. And other Asian market indices exhibited a mixed trend. Japan's Nikkei 225 surged by over 2%. Japanese investors reacted positively to the comments from their finance ministry officials. Their comments downplayed the likelihood of an interest rate hike. Meanwhile, Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index slipped by over 3.5%. Domestic issues in China and the tensions in West Asia weighed on the markets. Meanwhile, crude oil prices continued to rise. The global oil price benchmark Brent crude rose by over 1%. Oil prices were trading near the $75 per barrel mark. This comes as Israeli media reported that the government could target Iran's oil infrastructure. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has promised a painful response to Iran's missile attack. And the Russian court has ordered the freezing of $372 million worth of funds from 2 American banks. Funds from the Bank of New York Mellon and JP Morgan Chase Bank are being frozen. The order comes amid a case filed by a Russian prosecutor. The case relates to the American banks allowing actions by Ukrainian authorities against a Russian bank. Ukraine ordered a number of Russian banks to wind up operations in the country after the Russian invasion began. And the Japanese automaker Toyota Motors is reportedly delaying the production of electric vehicles in the US. Toyota wanted to start making battery-powered cars at its Kentucky factory from next year. But reports say that this is now being delayed until 2026. The delay is attributed to the design modifications in the car. Meanwhile, the electric car giant Tesla has discontinued the sale of its most affordable American car, the Model 3 compact sedan. Now, the car was priced at about $39,000. It is no longer available for order in the US. Reports attribute this to the new American tariffs on EV parts imported from China. The Tesla Model 3 compact sedan uses several Chinese components. This includes the car's lithium-ion battery. Now, Tesla's cheapest car in the US costs about $42,400. And US President Joe Biden has asked East Coast port operators and workers to come back to the negotiation table. His comments come as a strike by about 50,000 port workers entered its second day. The workers are demanding better pay after their last wage contract expired on the 1st of October. The White House has been urging port operators to provide a fair proposal to the workers. And the U.S. National Labor Relations Board has filed a complaint against the e-commerce giant Amazon. It has accused the firm of subjecting its drivers to illegal labor practices. Amazon employed drivers at a California facility on a so-called joint employer status. The drivers are under contract with a third-party firm, but they work for Amazon. Last year, when these drivers formed a union, Amazon allegedly terminated its contract with the third party. And the artificial intelligence firm OpenAI has raised $6.6 billion from investors in a new funding round. The ChatGPT maker was valued at $157 billion by investors. This is nearly double the valuation that the firm saw during its last round of funding. Reports say that in the latest round, OpenAI received investments from Thrive Capital, Microsoft, and NVIDIA. And during this latest funding round, OpenAI reportedly asked its investors not to fund its rivals. The ChatGPT maker has asked its investors to avoid 5 specific firms, and these include Elon Musk's xAI, Anthropic, Glean, and Perplexity. Now, the list also includes Safe Superintelligence. It is a new AI firm started by one of OpenAI's co-founders, Ilya Sutskever. And moving on to sports news, and we start with cricket. The ICC T20 Women's World Cup starts today. It's the 9th edition of the tournament. The United Arab Emirates is hosting the competition. Bangladesh will face Scotland in the tournament opener. And India's Jasprit Bumrah has reclaimed his spot as Test cricket's top bowler. Now, he dethroned his compatriot Ravichandran Ashwin to rise to the number 1 position. His ranking comes on the back of his stellar performance in the recent India-Bangladesh Test series. Bumrah picked up 11 wickets in 49 overs across 2 matches. Indian pacer Mohammad Shami has dismissed recent reports about his knee injury. Some media reports have claimed that the injury would force him to sit out of the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Shami refuted those claims and said that neither he nor India's cricket board ruled him out for the Australia series. And Indian all-rounder Shardul Thakur was reportedly hospitalized due to a high fever. He was discharged earlier today. Now, Thakur fell ill while playing in an Indian domestic cricket tournament. He's unlikely to feature in the tournament anymore due to his health. And in football news, Lionel Messi and his club Inter Miami lifted the Major League Soccer Supporters Shield. Inter Miami defeated Columbus Crew 3-2 in the match. Messi scored 2 goals in the first half. Meanwhile, Luis Suarez sealed the game with a third for Inter Miami. And Liverpool defeated Bologna 2-0 in the UEFA Champions League match. Midfielder Alexis Mac Allister had set the tone of the game with an early score. However, the star of the match was Mohamed Salah. He assisted in the first goal and found the back of the net late in the match. Atletico Madrid has been ordered to shut down a part of its stadium. The punishment will span for 3 of the club's home matches. Fans will not be allowed in one of the stands that has about 5,000 seats. The ban is because Atletico fans threw objects at Real Madrid footballers. And in tennis news, men's world number 3 Carlos Alcaraz emerged victorious in the China Open final. He beat world number 1 Jannik Sinner. Despite losing the first set, Alcaraz bounced back to register a 6-7, 6-4, 7-6 win. This is Alcaraz's 6th win over Sinner in the 10 ATP matches and 43rd match win this year. And one of chess' most intense competitions, the Global Chess League, starts today. The championship is being held in London. It features chess's top-ranked players divided into 6 teams. Now, notable participants are world number 1 Magnus Carlsen and the former world champion Vishwanathan Anand. Now, each game will last for 20 minutes with no time increment. And in Formula One, ticket sales for this month's Grand Prix in the US in Austin have surged. This after Red Bull's Max Verstappen's winning streak this season ended, says the race promoter. Verstappen started the season strong with 4 race victories. However, he has not won any of the last 8 races. Second place Lando Norris of McLaren is on the verge of toppling Verstappen. And in entertainment news, rapper Sean Combs has been accused of allegedly sexually abusing a 9-year-old boy. He was allegedly abused by the rapper after an audition in New York City. The boy is among the 120 people who accused the rapper of sexual misconduct. The lawyer representing the accusers that Combs has sexually abused multiple other minors. Meanwhile, another woman has accused Sean Combs of spiking her drink when she was pregnant. The incident happened at the rapper's mansion in Miami. The woman claims that she blacked out in the rapper's house. When she woke up, she allegedly sustained bruises in her body's private parts. And reports say iconic British band Pink Floyd has signed a music rights deal with Sony. Now, the deal is reportedly worth $400 million. Pink Floyd will sell their recorded music. Sony will also get access to the band's merchandise and artworks on their albums. However, songwriting rights are not a part of the agreement. Dr. Mark Chavez, who was charged in the drug-related death of Friends star Matthew Perry, has pleaded guilty. He supplied surgical anesthetic ketamine lozenges to another doctor who provided them to Perry. Chavez is one of the 5 people charged in Perry's death. The Friends star was found dead in his house in October of 2023. And Stranger Things star Millie Bobby Brown took to social media to share her wedding ceremony's images. The actor looked stunning in a white lacy gown, while her husband looked dapper in a Tom Ford suit. She got married to actor Jake Bon Jovi in May of this year. And actor Andrew Garfield says that he is open to the idea of playing Spider-Man again if he finds the role full of joy. He further added the film should have something that has not been done before. Garfield says that he loves that character and it brings him joy. The actor was seen as Spider-Man in 3 films. Hollywood actor Robert Downey Jr. has made his Broadway debut with the play McNeil. The play revolves around themes like artificial intelligence, plagiarism, and copyright infringement. In an interview, he said he found a confidence boost for stage from his performances in Oppenheimer and The Sympathizer. The Iron Man actor also sought advice from Bradley Cooper. And according to Amazon Prime Video, the season 2 of The Rings of Power has reached 55 million viewers in 1 month. Officials from Amazon say that the UK is among the top regions of the show's audience. The company previously reported that the show got 40 million viewership in 11 days. The season 2 launched on the 29th of August. And Rugrats, the classic cartoon from the 1990s, is reportedly getting a live-action adaptation. The show follows a group of toddlers and how they spend their adventure-filled days. Previously, 3 animated films have been made on the show, and further details are awaited on this new project. And Cartoon Network has renewed the show Batwheels for Season 3. The show is about superheroes and their vehicles defending the Gotham City from the evils. This is the first ever Batman series for a preschool audience. The show aims to teach school-going children values of self-confidence and teamwork. And that's a wrap on this edition.